Christensen, and I'm in Paris to model some of the world's most talented designers. These designers come from many different countries, but there's only one from Australia, and she happens to be one of the most creative. Out of all the clothes I modeled from so many international designers, her sexy romantic outfits are amongst my favorites. This designer's name is Collette Dinnigan, and here is her story.
The world of fashion has always been a dynamic and evolving industry, constantly seeking fresh new talent and innovative ideas. Collette Dinnigan was and is a pioneering Australian fashion designer. She emerged on the scene in the 1990s and quickly garnered international recognition for her unique designs and exquisite craftsmanship. In this film, we look at the remarkable journey of Collette Dinnigan from her early beginnings in Australia to establishing herself in London and eventually becoming the first Australian designer to showcase her collections in the hallowed catwalks of Paris.
Collette Dinnigan was actually really someone that I looked up, I respected, because she was really literally first a designer from Australia to officially to be part of official schedule during Paris Fashion Week. Yes, so I had a great respect for her. But Collette Dinnigan was a big deal.
I'm Collette Dinnigan. I started my career, I guess, in television and costume in the music industry and making costumes for video clips back in the 90s. And then I moved on to a brand called Palladium, and I used to do, was in the bicentenary year. Joy Smithers and I used to do t-shirts together, and we sold them to many stores like Remo and internationally. It was a lot of fun. And then I started my own brand, my fashion label, which started as Collette Dinnigan, which was a lingerie brand. And I had my own store, and it was very bespoke, and it was a mixture of, I guess, silks and vintage laces, and everything was pretty much handmade. And I would sell it to order, and I started, in fact, I asked a friend, Nikki Andrews, when there was Mode magazine, I went in there and I sold it to all the different fashion editors, and I got lots of orders. And then I had something in the Sydney Morning Herald, which was mail order, send a self-addressed stamped envelope and you can order this, and I had thousands and thousands of replies. And from that, I opened my own little store in William Street in Paddington. And then I tried to wholesale to different stores here, Myers, David Jones. Nobody was interested. And so I went to America, to New York, to Barney's, and they were my first wholesale international customer. And I guess it just all started from there. They became my showroom in a way, and a lot of other stores went to Barney's to see what labels they would have in the 7th Avenue, 17th Street store. And then people from around the globe started asking for the underwear, and I started selling it to Harvey Nichols and Joyce in Hong Kong, and I guess my brand just evolved from there.
So here we are in my store that I opened in 1992, which was quite a milestone for me. It was the time when I guess nobody was buying my product in Australia, and I needed to have a place to showcase it and merchandise, and this is it. And it's still very fond memories of that, and also very close to my heart, and I'm glad it's still here.
Slowly transitioned from the underwear to loungewear to outerwear, and then I started a lot of corsetry, and in that time fashion was very androgynous. A lot of Belgian designers were sort of taking the stage, like Andy Minister, and it was, I guess, something quite the opposite. And I started dressing, doing clips for Madonna and a lot of different other music personalities, and I think Cindy Crawford was my first customer in Barney, so kind of got quite a cult following, and the brand took off from there.
I was born in Durban, South Africa, September 1965. My father was Irish, and he actually met my mother in Durban at a yacht club party while he was sailing around the world. My mother was a very eccentric. I don't like to use that word because, I think everybody has their own eccentricities, but she was very vivacious and very creative, and so she was lots of fun. My father has got a great intellect and very much a common sense person, and very worldly and authentic too. They were both very authentic in their own characters. They were so suited to each other because they had such a sense of adventure. I lived in a place called Mandini, which was in Zululand, so it was kind of almost in the bush itself. Our front lawn was a 50-metre ketch being built, so it was constantly a construction site. It was surrounded by a menagerie of animals. I even can remember times having my chickens in the kitchen because I was upset with the storms and the pythons that would sometimes come. It was very organic life, I guess. Lots of gardens and just a great child's sort of dream playground. Lots of big trees to climb. I think I had a few days at school. It was in South Africa, you don't start till you're 6. I can remember writing cat and mat and fat and duck and having to wear a uniform, and the next time I had to put on a uniform was probably 4 or 5 years later. I can't remember the year. I was around about 7 years old, and I can never forget leaving. It was Boxing Day, I think, and this hordes of people saying goodbye, and we couldn't quite understand, and my mother's sister was in tears, and hearing comments about that crazy Irishman taking his family in the roughest seas and not quite understanding why. Dad kept on saying, great sailing weather. If we get weather like this all the way, we'll be doing well.
We sailed from South Africa, we were on our way to Canada, and we ended up stopping in Australia on our way to New Zealand, and we settled in New Zealand, and that's where I did my education. I went to design school in Wellington, which is now Massey University School of Design, and then I ended up going to Europe and settling in Australia and working for, I think it was Anthony Bloomfield was my first place I worked, and then for Angie Vesti at Bliss Clothing, and then I went on to the ABC TV and worked on productions there doing the costume design, and I did my first feature film as a costume designer was with Stephen Hopkins. And then as I was sort of kind of going into the film industry, there was a huge tax cut from the government, so the bottom fell out of the film industry, and that's when I started making my lingerie and started sort of my own business.
Collette Dinnigan is renowned for her exquisite use of lace in her designs, which had become synonymous with her brand. Before expanding into fashion, Dinnigan initially gained recognition for her work in lingerie and underwear design.
Well, at that time I wasn't really doing so much the traditional lingerie. It was much more lingerie going into outerwear. So it was corsetry or little lace petticoats that would be worn on something else, and then you would dress on top of that. So it really was about lots of layers. But I think at the time there was Chantal Thomas in France, but there was very much an underwear company. And I think what I was doing quite differently was a mixture of sleepwear, little slip dresses with embroideries and lace edges, and there was definitely a transition as that underwear to outerwear feeling. Just wearing slip dresses, it was very much about wearing the start of the slip dress.
I remember doing Colette's Boomerang show, which was just we were so nervous because it was just such a beautiful venue and there were so many amazing people in attendance, and these dresses, they were like pastel miracles of detail and special fabrics, but so feminine and so modern and so beautiful and timeless. It was really something else.
Collette Dinnigan was a pioneer. I mean, her dresses were just beautiful. I even think of my wife and some of the major occasions in our life, and she was wearing Collette Dinnigan. She's an icon in our industry.
When I first met Collette, I just thought she was such a lively, funny, incredible woman, and she soon got me in to become her house model, her fit model. So I would go in there, you know, for a few hours every week and try on these incredible dresses that were so detailed and perfect. And, you know, she would get me to try something on, and then she would just come in and sort of fix something up and then go, okay, we need embroidery here. And she would send the dress off for an hour, and it would come back with all this amazing embroidery, and it would just be like, oh my God, this is so dreamy and beautiful. And she was just so optimistic and hardworking and had this vision that was so unlike anybody else.
Before expanding into fashion, Dinnigan initially gained recognition for her work in lingerie and underwear design. Lace would become a defining element in Collette Dinnigan's designs, showcasing her love for intricate and delicate fabrics, drawing inspiration from her childhood in New Zealand and her travels throughout the world. Dinnigan developed a deep appreciation for the artistry and beauty of lace. Lace not only added a touch of femininity and sensuality to her creations, but also became a signature feature that set her designs apart from everybody else's.
I guess lace for me was when I first started the underwear, and I used to find in Europe and also in Australia there were a lot of amazing warehouses filled with old lace, and I'd rummage through them all and buy them, and then I would mix them with silk chiffons, and you know, especially then I would just try and find some of the companies that made the lace in France. Most of them were based in Lyon or near Calais, and I'd go and visit them, and they would often have the old lace machines from those laces, and I started developing new laces with them, and I'd use it, mix it, you know, and worked with a lot of Chantilly lace and the true French laces and Swiss embroideries, and that's where I guess my signature came from, always something feminine with a hard edge.
Collette epitomised, you know, ethereal, feminine, chic embellishment. She was a pioneer in that space, really, for beautiful embellishment, high quality, beautiful garments, and she really was a trailblazer.
I guess for me, the journey was that it was a demand. People would say after making little bras and slip dresses, oh, couldn't you make this, or can you make a cardigan to go with that, or we'd love a pair of pants, you know, your pajama style pants with some embroidery. And it was a demand, I guess, from the retail stores. They, you know, the customer was consuming the product, and so there was more and more. So I kind of expanded, I guess not my repertoire, but my collection, and developed more and more pieces, and I think, you know, when I look back at what I did, everything was quite soft and gentle and whimsical. And as I kind of grew up in my journey through fashion, I ended up, you know, having a lot more structure, and even with my slip dresses, I'd build corsets underneath and have the chiffon would float over the top. So I guess that was my evolution, where I started in things that were whimsical and soft, and then they became much more structured and crafted, in the sense that it was, you know, a suit tailored jacket would have, you know, would be the proper stylish, I'd be working off a mannequin and really giving it a lot more form. I guess my design is always, you know, there's a lot of romanticism, but it's always, I like to have a masculine edge, or it's always about the proportion, the colour, the cut, it's femininity, it's an urban modern edge, or there's always something that it's a juxtaposition. It's not always, I mean, my customer always wants the same but different. So it's one of the most difficult things to deliver, is the same things but something that's new every season. So, you know, but I guess that's a handwriting, it's a signature, it's something that's in my imprint.
I remember
kind of discovering the brand Collette Dinnigan when I moved to Australia, and I thought, wow, I didn't realize that Australian fashion was so sophisticated, and it was the beauty of the quality of what she was doing and the designs. It was quite spectacular to see, and seeing her then move into Paris Fashion Week and do what she did was quite something.
In 1990, Dinnigan took a leap of faith and launched her eponymous label, Collette Dinnigan. Her collection showcased her distinctive style, characterised by delicate fabrics, intricate lacework, and feminine silhouettes. Her designs captivated Australian audiences, and Dinnigan quickly gained a loyal following. Her creations were regarded as a refreshing departure from the minimalist aesthetic that dominated the Australian fashion scene at that time.
So when Collette started, she started in, she had the underwear business, and, she had the shop in Paddington, and she's an incredibly clever operator. She had some beautiful stuff. And I remember, watching the documentary, The Lacemaker in Paris, which was just so remarkable. It was so, the energy behind that documentary and just seeing the rawness of it, of the anticipation of showcasing in Paris, an Australian girl that kind of, was suddenly amongst the best of the best in Paris would have been an incredible opportunity for her. And it was, she was a rising star, and she was incredibly intelligent, and she's incredibly smart the way that she ran her business and, knew her customer and evolved the business into, some casual components and lifestyle, and, obviously invested really well into property, which was really smart. So she always had something to fall back on. And I think what was so beautiful about her collection is when I walked into DJs and seeing it hanging there and all the numbered garments made it really unique, just to know that there was still this, despite the commercial success that she had, it was still this beautiful brand that wasn't mass produced, that you knew that you were buying one of such and such a number, and it was going to be a treasured piece. And I think that, I think that somebody out there has got these garments with these numbers on it, and, they should feel incredibly honoured, and, that it's you just don't get that back. That's a piece of Australian cultural history.
Buoyed by her success in Australia, Dinnigan sought to expand her brand globally. In the mid-1990s, she opened her first store in London, bringing her unique Australian aesthetic to the fashion capital.
I opened my first store in London in the year 2000. It was a very exciting time. It was, the Olympics, everything, Australians were full of optimism. I think the whole world was. And it was great and was small. It was in a side street, but it was next to real hairdressing. So everybody went there, all the blondes went there to get their hair done, and they'd pop into our shop. But it was, it was alive, London, and I loved being there. And we had a great customer base, and it was always, I'd always do an event in the store, a little trunk show after our show in Paris. So I guess those also were the days, without children, so I was kind of free, and it was lots of fun.
The London boutique became an instant hit, attracting fashion-conscious clientele and earning Dinnigan widespread critical acclaim. Her distinctive designs, often inspired by her Australian roots, resonated with the international fashion community and set her apart from her contemporaries.
And I guess the advantage too with what I did was there wasn't a large, the items were all numbered. There'd be one of 5 or one of 2 or one of 10. So every customer knew exactly how many there were in the world, and they would feel a lot more special, and we'd fit it to them. So it was kind of bespoke couture in a way.
Collette Dinnigan was a real quiet achiever. She was quite stealth, really. I mean, she had a business in Paris for long before I think any of us really realised how significant she was. And from memory, she dipped in and out of Fashion Week. And I think, at David Jones, we were privileged to do business with her. And she was a great partner of ours. We used to call those designers the family. And she was well and truly one of the founding members of that fashion family.
Collette Dinnigan's breakthrough moment came in 1995 when she became the first Australian designer ever to be invited to showcase her collections at Paris Fashion Week. The invitation was a testament to her talent and growing recognition of Australian fashion on the global stage. Dinnigan's Parisian debut was met with critical acclaim, establishing her as an internationally renowned designer.
So, I mean, I guess showing in Paris was never the dream I had. I was just too busy, but it was the stores that I sold to, like Harvey Nichols, Collette, we've talked, all of the stores, including Barney's, Saks, they all get together. It'd be so much easier if you just went to Paris and did a show and show us how to wear the clothes and how to buy them. Because I was traveling, between LA, New York, London, Hong Kong, and seeing each buyer before I went, Paris wasn't even on my destination list. And that's how it started. So I started doing a show. My first show was in Angelina's, and it was crazy because I had no idea how to do a show. And all the corsetry and the lacing up and everything, we didn't even have dresses. I was dressing behind the scenes. It was crazy. It was something you could not even understand or begin to imagine. It wasn't like a slip dress on and off. It was like, so many buttons.
We need to get them dressed.
Could everybody get into the first outfits, please? First outfits. Get into first.
Where's Hatsui?
Hatsui?
Where's Veronica?
Two models missing.
Still?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Veronique.
Where's Veronique dressing? Where's her? The models that were late from the other shows, it was where are they? Because it's not just a case of dropping a couple of models. It's that we have to lose the outfits that they're wearing.
And which one?
Is anyone here? Because we have to start because Saks are about to leave. We have to start. So all the girls here?
Natalia just arrived. No, not Natalia, Veronica.
Oh, okay.
Veronica just arriving. It's too late, no? She's here? Yeah. No, get her in. Get quickly. Beat. No, right now. Get her in. Makeup.
Son maquillage.
No, quick. Just take off her lips. Changer les.
Veronica, la vie. Veronica, elle est où? Veronica, où elle doit aller?
Makeup. Yeah. Shit. It's too late. Philip, we need Natalia's makeup done. She's just been to another show.
Here.
Yeah, she's here. But we need someone here really quickly. When they do arrive, it's easy if they've got short hair perhaps, but if they had longer hair, you have to get the hair done, the makeup done, and put them into that whole... No, we're half an hour late already. We're ready. Philip, tell them. Well, to start. Yeah. No, the people are leaving now. Our stores from America, yes. It's the most terrible feeling, the fear of failure. Your soul, your life, everything, there's been a lot put on the line for it.
Ôtez vos chaussures sur le ciment pour pas glisser.
Oh, shit, who was that?
Veronica is ready or what?
Veronica, yes, she is. She's coming.
No, Veronica is Fern now.
No, two Veronicas now.
No, the other one.
No, mais c'est
Fern.
Where are you? You know what number?
Yes.
Which one is that's the first one? First outfit is this.
I don't know. Which is it?
Veronica
R. It's
Veronica, do you know what number you are?
Yes, but no, where is she in the lineup?
We start with the one, who just
The other
arrived.
one. So
Okay,
the second one. This is Veronica
the
R.
second
Number
one,
25.
Veronica
Okay.
Okay, we have to start.
We gotta start?
Wait, can you get the music going?
Yeah,
please?
come on, follow me.
Anyway, it went really well, and I think then I did another show, and because of the Chambre Syndicale, there's time slots, and each designer owns their time slot, and I would always try and choose a time slot that wasn't kind of, vying for the press of, another designer. Like I can remember once showing against Sonia Riquiel or Comme des Garçons, and I thought all the press wouldn't really be interested, those press wouldn't be interested in my show, but I was wrong, and they all came to my show, and Sonia Riquiel complained to the Chambre Syndicale, took the press, and that's how they noticed me. And then they invited me to have a meeting, and then they gave me a time slot.
then became the first Australian designer to show on schedule, invited on schedule by the Champs-Élysées, that's the French fashion industry's organising body. She was the first, and that was a big deal.
Well, she was certainly the first Australian to show on schedule in Paris. So to be invited by the French Fashion Council to participate on schedule is a very extraordinary opportunity. So I think we were all in awe of her in a way.
I mean, you know, she was very inspiring because she was the first to show in Paris, first Australian designer showing consistently in Paris. I mean, I was never really close with Collette, but I just always really admired her grit. And in getting that done, I mean, that's a huge thing to do. To, you know, get yourself over to Paris and your staff and get a whole show together. I know from personal experience when I used to show in New York in the late 2000s, and it's a huge endeavour to put a show on in a fashion capital somewhere else in the world. So, yeah, I always really admired her. And her clothes were really beautiful. They were beautifully crafted. The fabrics were amazing, and they were very, very flattering. Women loved them.
Yes, you know, well, Helena Christensen and I became very good friends, and she did many of my shows in Paris. I can remember Alec Wick was the first show she ever did, was my show in Paris, as was Audrey Marne and a lot of the girls that they've gone on to do different things. But I guess those girls at that time in the 90s were just incredible. And, you know, even Kate Moss, as petite as she was still such an iconic look for Calvin Klein, and her clean kind of nothingness is still what people aspire to, I guess. But they were all incredible. I think that they were the celebrities in a way of the fashion world, whereas there's been so much now. And I mean, look, at the beginning of when I first started, I was starting to dress people in the film and music business as well. So, but now it's all about you pay for actors and musicians to wear your clothes. Whereas when I started having Purple in London dress a lot of the people, I wasn't paid or I wasn't paying anyone. It was just about a great collaboration where there's a new designer with very limited things that weren't going to appear on every other person down, red carpet. So it was fun. I guess, being recognised by international brands like Louis Vuitton as Businesswoman of the Year, that's pretty amazing. And also, I guess the other brand was Veuve Clicquot. Grand Dame put me in as one of their, I think it's not sure, businesswoman, or can't remember what the award was. I also got the alumni into Massey University a few years ago, which was very special because New Zealand's very close to my heart. You know, I'm still, I guess, there's a lot of Kiwi in me, even though I kind of lived in, you know, I'm Irish, South African, Australian, New Zealander. But yeah, New Zealand it's important to me.
Collette's legacy, or even legendary status before Australian Fashion Week commenced in 1996, was one of the credential cards I played around the world. Collette was already showing in Paris, and that's a calling card. And I kept saying to all the buyers, you think Collette Dinnigan's good? We've got a lot more like her. Come and have a look at the rest. And so she'd really set the benchmark for the industry. And it's true. In the first couple of years, she didn't participate because she was so focused on showing in Paris. And I think in her mind, she felt the event perhaps wasn't of the right standing for her. However, as time went on, you know, Collette changed her mind and she came and participated in a number of Australian Fashion Weeks, which we were very, very proud of. One particular, a beautiful show held down at Boomerang on the harbour with Kate Sobrano dancing on the table after the fashion show. So yeah, Collette played an extremely important role, not only in eventually, I guess, validating the event by participating in it, but also too, she became, you know, a spokesperson for not just her own brand, but for the Australian fashion industry. And she was very, very influential in helping to position the event. So always very thankful for her involvement in the event.
I guess one of the milestones of my career that's also launched it was very exciting for me was I can remember being in New York and I was meeting some press agents, and W Magazine and Women's Wear Daily, both of them actually the same company, they had, I showed them the collection, they were so excited, and Bridget Foley was the editor at the time, and Edward Enningfield now, who's the editor of British Vogue, he was working with me, and they ended up giving me the cover of Women's Wear Daily and a double-page spread, and same in W Magazine, and it was a very big deal. It was the industry Bible, and in fact their title was The Lacemaker on the cover, and it was a huge turning point because suddenly Saks, Neiman Marcus, everybody was interested in, and I can remember Bridget saying to me, you know, the advertisers were so annoyed because normally it's an advertiser on the cover and they always fight to see who's on the cover and who am I, and you know, she said it was a very exciting time for them because it was so original and so authentic and so unheard of. And I think there was a turning point in fashion in the 90s where everybody wanted the branded Prada print or the, you know, the Gucci logo, and then it moved to the customer and the press especially wanting the next best thing or the next new thing. So I was just on that cusp, and it was a very big change in direction from that androgynous kind of branded big house movement to the smaller, more bespoke designers, and I was there doing something very different that happened to be what the customers wanted at the time, and the press, I guess.
I listen to his voice against the window pane. There's no escaping the heat of July, and it looks like it's gonna rain tonight. Leave it to the water to make things right. I let the water wash over my eyes. Yes, you can expect it to rain tonight.
Over the years, Collette Dinnigan has collaborated with various brands and organisations, expanded her reach and influence. She collaborated with Target Australia to create a diffusion line, making her designs more accessible to a wider audience. Dinnigan also worked with luxury brands such as Tiffany & Co, creating exclusive lingerie collections.
My first collaboration was with Marks and Spencer's, and I did a lingerie line for them, and I used Helena Christensen as a model, and Alan von Umworth was a photographer for the campaign. And it was a very big idea that I took to Mark and they approached me, and I said, yes, I'll do it if we can do it this way. And it was, a huge success. And I did a collection for the Australian Ballet with Target, and I did a lot of tutus for, children for the ballet. And a great percentage of those proceeds went to the ballet, which helped take the ballet to the outback in Australia, so younger kids there who didn't get the opportunity to come into town to learn ballet could live the dream and be taught ballet, I guess. And another one that I loved doing actually was for Aldi. And what was great about that was exactly that same principle and philosophy. It's about, design can be good, but it can also be very affordable, and but the quantities produced are much greater to bring the price down. And that was really fun doing that, and I think my customers loved it because I'd sort of closed my business at that stage. So it was great for them. They got my customers, and I kind of could do great children's clothes, which I have a lot of fun doing.
Her achievements are many and include being awarded the Prix de Marie Claire for Best Australian Designer. And she was also appointed a member of the Order of Australia for her significant contributions to the Australian fashion industry.
Receiving the Order of Australia was an incredible privilege. It showed that there was a lot of recognition for what the fashion industry contributes to our country, and perhaps I was a small voice at the beginning of it all, but it shows that, the voice gets louder and louder and there's more importance. And I spent a lot of time with the wool industry. In Adelaide, I was on the wool board there. So, it's so important that we support our growers and, make industry back home more than we do export what we have been. So, I think it was important to receive that, not just for me, but for the industry.
Exclusive to the Museum of Applied Arts and Sciences, Collette Dinnigan Unlaced was presented at the Powerhouse Museum on the 5th of September 2015 to the 29th of January 2017. This was the first exhibition to explore her work in such detail.
Collette really was one of the leaders of the industry and really the first to succeed internationally on such an important scale.
When she took Australian fashion to Paris, she took it to the world.
There's no detail too small that doesn't demand her attention.
Now go. Let's get...
She had her own voice, starting with her lingerie and then moving on into that very feminine, beautiful bridal dresses and dresses that women wanted to have.
It's girly and bouncy and fun.
It featured ensembles, accessories and archival material from the museum's collection and Colette's personal archive. Stepping into the exhibition, visitors were immediately immersed in the world of elegance and sophistication. The carefully curated displays featured Dinnigan's iconic creations, spanning from her early works to her later masterpieces. And each garment was a testament to an unparalleled talent and commitment to excellence. Unlaced took viewers on a journey through Dinnigan's creative process, shedding light on the influences that have shaped her artistic vision. From the delicate lacework of vintage French couture to the vibrant colours of the Australian outback, her designs reflected a harmonious fusion of the diverse inspirations. Realised by creator Anna Treglowen, an award-winning stage designer and artist, the scenes bring into focus Dinnigan's unique creative perspective. It highlighted the romantic, feminine designs that have seen her work sought after by a star-studded clientele, including Taylor Swift, Dita Von Teese and Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge. One of the highlights of the exhibition to me was the breathtaking display of Dinnigan's intricate lace creations. Collette, throughout her career, elevated this delicate fabric to an art form. The ethereal gowns and delicate lingerie adorned with meticulous handcrafted lace motifs showcased her impeccable attention to detail. The interplay of light and shadow on the lacework created an enchanting visual experience, leaving visitors in awe of her craftsmanship. Beyond the garments themselves, Unlaced offered us a glimpse into the mind of a visionary designer. The exhibition featured sketches, mood boards and personal notes, providing insight into Colette's creative process. Remarkable. Visitors were able to witness the evolution of an idea from a simple sketch to a stunning, stunning garment, gaining a deeper appreciation for the immense effort and thought that goes into each and every piece. Collette Dinnigan's impact on the Australian fashion industry cannot be overstated. Her success paved the way for other Australian designers to gain recognition on the international stage. Dinnigan's designs celebrated femininity, showcased the unique beauty of the Australian craftsmanship, and her commitment to quality and attention to detail set her apart and influenced a generation of designers that would follow. Today, Dinnigan's use of lace remains an integral part of her brand's identity.
I guess for any young person and any student, those who did work experience in our business, many would come in wanting to be fashion designers and show in Paris. I mean, you get to that if you're passionate about it, because ultimately you've got to be passionate about, is the seam perfectly made and French seamed, and how do you do a jet hole, buttonhole, and can you change that, and how do you get a bias dress perfectly cut, and then how do you adapt it, and what print colour do you put it in? And if you can make that, and then you can make 5 or 10 of them, and then people can wear them, that's the start of a dream. It's not the end, and I think it's about the journey and about the passion and the hard work and always being wanting to learn. There is never ever something you can't learn.
Collette Dinnigan's journey from Australia to London and eventually Paris has been one of unwavering dedication, artistic brilliance and groundbreaking achievements. Her distinctive style, characterised by the delicate use of lace and intricate craftsmanship, has left an indelible mark on the global fashion industry. Throughout her career, Dinnigan has consistently pushed boundaries and defied conventions, earning her a well-deserved reputation as a trailblazer in the world of fashion. By her establishing herself in international fashion capitals, Collette helped pave the way for other Australian designers to gain the recognition and appreciation on the world stage. She was really a trailblazer.
I guess my process in design is I'm very quick in my head and too quick to draw sometimes. I'm always drawing half bodies, just to remember the idea. I have great vision, I can see it all so clearly, and I have to draw it or write it down, because otherwise I'm always on to the next and I forget the idea I originally had, or what inspired me. But I work with colour. A lot of colour and texture to start, and also I guess I'm the forever optimist, and I travel a lot in my mind, and I go to faraway places and I have different scenarios, and it could be a Mad Max movie, or it could be, Kylie Minogue on a rainbow, or no, moonbeam, or it could be, Wuthering Heights, or it could be something like Sheltering Sky in the Moroccan deserts with pinks and different hues, and then there's so many different things. I have to be very careful in how I communicate it, because I can also come across as kind of crazy and too fast. So I guess colours and mood boards for me are colours and sketches and textures. And I've always started every collection that way. I'll start in Paris and I'll go, oh my God, that's a great colour green. And the next thing is I'm finding another bit of green felt, and then I'm finding something else. And then there will be a hue of a colour, and then there will be a complementary colour, and then there will be something that's quite the opposite that fights it, so to give it a bit of, intensity, I guess. So definitely I start with colour. Well, I think, fashion to me isn't necessarily a cubbyhole. Fashion to me is it's a movement or a name that kind of groups something together, and happens to be things that empower people. It's clothes. What I used to do my dressing of customers, I guess, is to make them feel confident and stylish and make sure that the fit's great so that they feel comfortable and you know, it's a burst of energy, and if you feel good about yourself and you feel confident, it changes a lot of things. But as well with that comes, you know, art and colour and paint, and for me I get so much inspiration through different galleries, and I guess there's different, I go between of the old masters. I love Chagall, I love not so much, I guess, Matisse and Picasso, but different movements, and I love to see how they also change, you know, in their moments of time in history and how naughty they were. And everyone was challenged. And I think it's important to note that because making mistakes sometimes brings the best, and you find different journeys, you have different journeys and different solutions. But I think for the one thing that I know and feel with most artists is that they're always good cooks. And they love their food and their wine and their song and their dance, and they love life. And I don't know many artists who don't have an opinion about food or who don't like to cook. And I think I celebrate, you know, that with even my team in Paris. When I was there, I used to cook for them. It was kind of a social get-together, and as my friends know and as everyone knows, I love to do that. And I think it brings everyone to the table, and I love music, and I love, you know, an energy and, you know, just a gravitas that it has. When I decided to, I guess I wasn't closing my business or scaling back, I decided to make a big change in my business. It was very much about my family, and my focus went to my son Hunter, who was then I think around 18 months, I can't quite remember. Never so good with the dates and the times, but he, you know, was much more demanding than my daughter Estella, and a sense of attention to me and, you know, just feeding and everything. So, you know, I just made family my priority, and I thought I'm never going to get the years back, and it's time, and, you know, otherwise it'll be another 10 years in fashion. I know the roller coaster. I know it's a hungry monster. It doesn't stop. I work on, you know, Paris fashion show time, and meant always my summer and school holidays would be doing collections, and it just felt like it was time. And so I stopped my main collection, and I still continued with Collette by Collette Dinnigan, but being Collette, being me, I threw as much of my time, all the rest of my time into that. So I realised, you know, there was no kind of halfway. I give everything my 100% or more. So it was, I think, a year after that I decided to close that as well and make a very big change in my life and move to Italy. And, you know, my husband and I, you know, it was a bit of like, will we, won't we? And I was like, of course we can always come back. And I wanted to go to a place that was outside France and Europe because I knew France so well, having spent so much time there. And Italy is where we got married, we eloped, and we thought we loved the food, we loved the people, why not? And we moved for 3 years until COVID sent us back home. Well, I do a lot of collaboration still, and I've been doing my time in Italy. I ended up doing a fragrance line, developed 4 fragrances and did candles, manufactured candles and body washes. So I've got a whole fragrance line for home that's organic and good quality. And I also worked with a couple of different potters and ceramicists in Basilicata and in Puglia making ceramics. So I've got my ceramics line, and same with linen, made a whole lot of different linen tablecloths. And so I've done a lot of things for the home, and I guess I'm doing a lot more interiors now, which I love. And, you know, my passion too is the garden and cooking, and so I've kind of gone in different directions, and I've done a few children's books since then. And I'm working on my new book at the moment, which is a lot of travel, and it's a coffee table book, unlike the children's books were illustrated. And so it's exciting because it's capturing, you know, my passions for design and artists and communities, food, travel. It's really about, you know, life and friends.
One of Colette's new creative endeavours is a gourmet travel series, and she looks like she's having fun doing it. From the grandest winery in all of the world to the gondola-dotted canals of Venice, Italy's treasures are plentiful and easy to find, exploring the countryside, the sea and the cities. Collette and photographer Felix Forrest spent a month travelling Italy to inspire and research for Vogue Living's November and December 2017 issue. Guest edited, of course, by Collette. She's also created a homewares line under her brand. something she never did or sold before. And she still does brand collaborations with people like Specsavers, as well as others. Even though she is now semi-retired from the luxury fashion business and spends her time between bases in the Southern Highlands in Italy.
Collette Dinnigan is an icon. I think she has led the way when it comes to designing with sustainability at the front and centre of a business model, which is really amazing. I think she's always one to watch. She's a leader within her space, and she has really set the scene for so many other Australian and international brands when it comes to designing with, yes, sustainability at the forefront.
Beyond her remarkable achievements as a designer, Dinnigan's legacy extends to her contributions outside the realm of fashion. She's been an advocate for sustainability and ethical practices, promoting responsible production methods and raising awareness about the importance of conscious consumption. Her commitment to social and environmental causes underscores her status as a visionary designer with a genuine concern for the world around her.
I would like to be remembered by my family as a good, kind, caring mother, who's generous and discreet in a lot of ways and is humble, and have taught my children how to be kind and understand humility and to share and be generous, and at the same time never to have any entitlement at all, but to find their own way. And I guess that's a job as a mother. And in the industry, I hope I've contributed with my work ethic. Has been, I am a worker that you can work 24 hours a day because you never stop. You dream what you need to do the next day, you dream of where you want to go, and then you have to realise it in working hours, I guess, and it's your translation and how you communicate.
There are many designers who make beautiful clothes, but it is very rare to come across one who so embodies every piece she designs. Someone whose spirit is embedded in every thread, every fibre of the fabric. When you wear one of Colette's dresses, you wear part of her life, her story, and you feel lucky to be part of the story. You look at her designs and touch the delicate materials, and you just know that this woman has a magical life full of wonderful dreams and adventures. All you have to do is slip into one of her dresses and you feel magical yourself. Collette and I became friends, and when I moved to Paris to work as a model, she was one of the first people I did shows for. I would walk up and down the runway in her beautiful creations